Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks, another viewer submitted match beyond all reason. I know we just took a look at all that glitters, but I felt like watching this one today that was sent on over by a viewer like you. So today, spawning on the southern side and representing our blue team, it's going to be Jacko Eyes, our Armada commander, already spawning in, building, looks like a double metal extractor into a solar panel, into another metal extractor, into a vehicle bay here on the right-hand side of the canyon pathway. Going to be playing that sort of split role between support and tech here on the right-hand side, helping out Orvar, representing our red team, spawning all the way in the other side of the map, basically right in line with the blue commander, basically the exact same position, but opposite here. It's gonna be Antares. Now, this is the exact same mirrored position on the map, but it plays completely differently. This is much more usually a tech position here, or maybe a sort of a support position. Usually we don't see the same sort of committed T1 vehicle production, although maybe if Antares has anything to say about it, that is not going to be the case. Alright, all the glitters, we're pretty familiar with it by this point, but in case you're not, there's a lot of little golden rocks all around the map that you can go around and reclaim. There's also a couple of valuable metal extractor spots over here. There's some 3.2s, right? One right there, one right there. A couple of them here and there, all contested, right in the middle of the map. Very, very nice. Technically speaking, there's one for every player on each team, but obviously these commanders are going to be more than happy to shut that down and yeah, keep their opponents with a little bit less metal in the banks. Now already we're off to a bit of a slower start than usual here. We certainly want to get these metal extractors up and running as quickly as possible here. Chuckles P failing to grab that third metal extractor. It's going to cost him about 100 metal as he gets into the early mid game, or the the late early game. I don't know. It'll stall the economy just a little bit here. Especially since we're going into vehicles, you really desperately need that metal if you're going to be going into vehicles, just because they do cost a little bit more on average than the regular units. Oh, interesting. Looks like we also have some fancy units enabled here as well. I can't remember exactly what the zapper comes out of. I think that's the extra units pack, I want to say. But either way, we're going to be having a little bit of shenanigans today, so keep your eyes peeled, and I'll do the very same. Loads of ticks and rovers and all sorts of other goodness sent across the map right now. Looks like we've got Christoph sending over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 ticks here. Just idling at the moment, maybe waiting for their 8th brother. Another big ball of ticks over here, trying their very best. 8 ticks, certainly enough to deal with any of these light scout craft. And indeed they will. They blast on through, taking down that rover, and headed directly towards the base right here of Shepherd 2043. Orvar walking down the lane right now, building a whole bunch of those LLTs, a whole bunch of those metal extractors, doing a great job of expanding with the commander. Going for those bots is always nice because it means you have those nice cheap expanders, nice cheap constructors. Tech's over here sniping a metal extractor, that's nice. They do take a lot of hull damage though from those explosions on those metal extractors, so you do have to be very careful. Love the splits right here. We need to split these up as much as possible. I'm gonna lose 2 more ticks here to that metal extractor. Usually what you want to do is send at this point, send them around in different directions so that you can try and get a little bit of scouting done and also pick away as many vulnerable metal extractors as possible. Instead, though, the strategy for user already taken, our yellow player, is to, instead harass down the economy right here for Dusty. Dusty unsure of what they should do, not committing to either direction here. I think the right answer is you build a LLT across the gap right here, but instead losing virtually the entire economy right now, and that is going to set back the powder blue player. Now, an excellent scout in these bombers. Ooh, and a fighter is sent across already. That's really nice. Yeah, actually, a very early fighter sent across the map right now by Vorpal Defiance. Very, very cool. Gonna shoot down this constructor as well. That hinders the expansion right here for Dusty. And then, of course, this fighter is gonna be great for shooting down that bomber right there. Hinders the early bomber aggression that Dusty was definitely looking to go for here. That's a really, really nice move right there. Very nicely done by the air player to recognize, hey, there's a bit of an opening in the enemy's defenses right here. We might as well take advantage of it. Christoph now setting up a frontal defense, trying to use these LLTs to deny any potential engagements out through this choke point right here. And it is nice. Holding at this line can definitely mean that you're a little bit better suited to deal with this situation. Rasta taking some heavy hull damage from those LLTs though. Yeah, they've been retweaked to do a significant amount of damage. 2 LLTs now taking that commander down to 50 HP, and I think Christoph's probably going to be pretty happy about that. No units on the field right now though, and it's because all these metal extractors are left untaken. Oh no. We are building some build power in the back right here. It's a critical energy stall right now, but as soon as that comes up and running, I think we desperately need to send these 2 forward to go claim all that metal. You can start building T1 solar panels just in a panic situation like this in order to get some emergency energy up and running, but you got to be so careful. Getting carried away with that can cost you hundreds and hundreds of metal over the course of your early game. Borvar actually in a little bit of trouble here. Low on energy means he can't degun away big swaths of these T1 units, and that basically means that they can jump on top of this commander and potentially get a kill right here, especially with the commander this far forward. It'd be much easier for the red team to eat up all this metal in the blue. A couple of Janus out now. Well, single Janus and a medium tank as well. I know there is 2 Janus out in the front, and a third one soon to follow here. I think eventually those Janus are going to be just enough to hold this front line, especially against a whole bunch of cheap T1 trash like pawns and grunts and ticks and rovers and rascals and all sorts of other stuff like that. Blitzes as well, certainly within that mix. Yeah, looking for a little bit of aggression right now is Antares 12, 3, 4, 5. Do we have some sort of a cheesy back game going on here? Looks like user already taken is just hoping to go for some sort of eco cheese. We're a little slow on the draw as far as sacrificing the commander to go for T2. Would love to have seen that commander sacked here. Oh yeah, I ran 2 miles. Oh, I ran 2 miles. I was you know, couldn't see the forest for the trees right there, or through the trees rather. Yeah, I ran 2 miles. Going to be blasted down right here. The orange commander loses his life to the forces. Mostly the LLTs over here, but also some of the cursory forces here that were accompanying Orvar Borvar by Jacko Eyes. Nicely done. That is a solid bit of metal that's going to be going back now to the blue team. We put it into units right now, and I think we have a tremendous army. There's more fighter aggression over on the other side of the map. I'm trying to keep up with chat here. There's a suggestion to pay more attention to chat, and I think there's probably some validity to that. I always leave that as the sort of the job for you guys, but maybe I should do my best to pay a little bit more attention to it as well here. This is a really nice pick right here for Orvar Borvar. This is the weakest lane on all the glitters here. This little lane in the mountains here is certainly very, very difficult to hold. So getting that early metal early on really, really helps Orvar. Yeah, you can see he starts up the T2 lab right here. Goes for the metal storage as well as the T2 lab here, as well as a whole bunch of stuff, but critically low on energy right now. I think probably some advanced solar panels wouldn't be the end of the world. Don't mind this aggression. Oh, but we did lose a whole bunch of those. Oh no, all the Janus go down right there. Yeah, those Blitz got a phenomenal trade. I mean, that last Janus just got a huge connection right there, but it won't really matter. Final Janus goes down, and suddenly that advantage is pretty far gone. Yeah. Bit of a bummer, actually. Fighters doing the best, shooting down these bombers. Oh well, a little bit of shenanigans here. Fighter trying its best, dipping, diving, ducking, and dodging, trying its very best to hit that bomber. Bomber, meanwhile, trying to avoid the fighter here. A little bit of a cat and mouse situation going on over there. Rasta has pushed back quite thoroughly here, though. Loads of LLTs all in this choke point here. No way a commander is going to be able to push in there. And now the artillery trucks are going to start firing away. We have 1 shell shocker for now. Not going to be too long before another one hits the field. And slowly but surely those build up to enough numbers that they really can't be stopped. Not by T1 anyway. It's huge run by right now with a whole bunch of blitzes. Ionian. We'll go with Ionian. Sends through a whole bunch of blitzes and they just perfectly found their mark right here. Yeah. Gonna push on through. There is a heavy laser tower over here, and I actually quite like it. It's gonna be really, really nice for cleaning a lot of these up. There's been a debate as to what the effective use of static defense is. Whether it's best as a front line, sort of a reinforcement, or whether it's best in the back line as sort of a cleanup crew. And I think I lean towards the cleanup crew more nowadays. Yeah, I feel like that tends to be where you can find a lot more value out. Janus will survive, just barely though. Shuriken desperately trying to clean a lot of this up. Janus not going to be able to get the connection that it wants. Sprinter now out here with the T2 lab right now, up for user already taken. Not the end of the world, but definitely a whole lot of damage done right now. Effectively, Arimodon, our Tan player. Yeah, completely wiped out of the match right now. Yeah, no production, no metal extractors. Whole bunch of mexes went down right here, by the way, for the brown commander. Not going to bother with that name. This is just a whole lot of aggression being sent across by the blue team and a whole lack of aggression by the red. Definitely goes to show. Aggression wins games for sure. Now that being said, Arimodon does definitely have a minuscule force on the front right now. These Rocketeers definitely posing a lot more of a threat on the fronts, but not exactly critical here. Not like these Rocketeers are going to be all too good against a whole bunch of T1 vehicles, a whole bunch of medium tanks. It seems like for the most part, the blue team is just spending their metal correctly. The blue team has basically no metal in the bank. The red team seems like they have just a little bit more all stocked up here. Hopefully we see some T2 constructors being passed out. Looks like we're sort of on that trajectory right now. Yeah, T2 metal extractors coming up right here for the yellow commander. Very nicely done. It's a little micro thing that can save you a whole lot of time, but you just start up the metal extractor and then walk the constructor to the next one, and you let your other inferior bots clean up the production. Can save you a whole lot of time. Nice, starting up an energy converter there as well. Always good to see. Do we have anything funky going on in this laboratory? Doesn't look like it. Do we have any Cortex T2 vehicle bays? That's another one that I should check. Just looking around. Wow, is this all Armada? My goodness, it's all Armada except for the air player here, which basically means the front lines are going to be all Armada. That's pretty funny. Not often that aligns itself, but sometimes we do see it. Jackawai's going for those, going for that T2 lab here. Going into some of those Armada T2 vehicles. Very powerful because you can get that console out and it can be very, very supportive. Rasta in a little bit of trouble over here. Yeah, pushed a little too far with the commander and does lose it. There's a lot of shell shockers back here and not a whole lot of medium tanks. Suddenly, well, okay, Shuriken come in to save the day here, but it seemed like suddenly things were going to take a turn for the worse. The medium tanks that are there take a perfectly efficient trade against those Shurikens, or otherwise known as EMP units over here, and that's going to be a whole lot of those medium tanks going down. Now there is a little counter push. Oh, never mind. It's a push that stalled out right here, but there was at least the thought of a counter push over on the right-hand side, trying to use these Rocketeers to push in there. But again, those Shuriken putting in so much work, shutting down a tremendous amount of this army and those Shell Shocker, taking advantage of those units that are effectively sitting still. Medium tanks pushing over in the middle of the map, though. Yeah, these medium tanks are having a field day against a lot of these bots, just showing their supremacy out on big, flat, open maps like this. Just the fact that those vehicles can trade so much more efficiently against those Rocketeers than, well, basically anything else, means that you're going to have a really, really hard time holding that sort of a line. T1 bots over here on the right-hand side for Orvar Borvar going into those thugs. Very powerful. Need some res bots out in the field here. Do we have any? Yes, we do. We do have some res bots. They're repairing everything back up to full health. That's what I like to see. Res bots, obviously one of those things that you can use as a comeback mechanic in this game. There's not a whole lot of those in the early game. Most of the comeback mechanics exist in the T2 era. I'm thinking mostly about spy bots or scuttles or anything like that. Things that you can get ridiculously efficient trades with. Gunslingers, sharpshooters, things like that. T1 era res bots are about as good as it gets because you can at the very least keep your units at full health and get a whole lot more value out of them. And eventually it ends up working out pretty good. Now those blitzes did medium tanks, the stouts did divert a little bit here, but they did find an open pathway into the back line right now, popping a whole bunch of energy converters and sending Rust back to the Stone Age as far as energy production goes, down only to 307 metal production right now. Not looking very good right now for the, 300 energy production, 7 metal production. I should split those up. A little bit of a failure of communication. Yeah, these pawns find the laboratory over here, realizing, hey, wait a minute, we can just exploit this opening. Rasta not reacting, not counterattacking or defending here, just sort of letting it happen, leaning back and getting punched in the nose, saying, yes, sir, please give me another. And there goes the entire base for him. Now, this may be some sort of high-level strategy I've never seen, but as far as I can tell, that is a dead pink commander right now. Everyone on the red team trying desperately to help out and save the day here, but there's just not enough mobile forces right now. We do have the T2 lab out. We can start producing sprinters, which are always a viable option against those T1 medium tanks, as well as any of those T1 bots. They're essentially the Armada equivalent to the Fiend, which we all know and fear. Like the inclusion of the anti-air here that the commander is throwing up to try and shoot down some of those fighters on the front line. Any chance you can get to sneak some anti-air underneath your enemy's air wall is going to be extremely valuable. Cuts down their air power and means that you can go for bombing runs or something like that, and especially with the prevalence of the Shuriken over here, yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult. Right-hand side looking strong. Antares was gifted a whole bunch of sprinters as well as a whole bunch of T1 units that he, well, I'm assuming produced here. Yeah, probably. A lot of T1 vehicles going into the T2 vehicle by now. Looks like there is a plan here, though. User already taken is going into a T3 gantry. We're getting ready to step up into some big boys. We're only on one APHIS production here, so it's not tremendous, but at least we're having a plan, right? Having a plan and transitioning into something is better than having no plan and going nowhere, just producing more and more T2 or more and more T1. I like that there is an in-game solution in mind here. Vorpal Defiance trying to get to a similar position here. Wouldn't even mind seeing this commander go for a little bit more eco, greed a little bit harder in here. Maybe pump out some more, some more fusion reactors, something like that. Sorry, big old clash down here that I'm ignoring to talk about economies. Whole bunch of Janices firing on medium tanks and pawns and Centurions even included in the front lines. You know things are getting desperate when you're relying on the Centurion to hold your front line. Zappers are pulled though, headed towards the front line, and they're going to start blasting away with their little pew-pew cannons, trying to paralyze whatever they can. Not going to be tremendously effective here, though. It's a desperate attack. We're trying to attack Shepard's commander here. Ooh, commander is getting low. Those Janices wasted their shots, though. Oh, and they wasted them again. That commander definitely would have died if those Janices had focused their fire here. You got to target down the commander. I believe it's the Y key on the grid controls. Ooh, difficult. Difficult to see. And there we go. The red army has been completely cleaned up here. Now T2 is eventually going to head on its way, but is there enough army to clean this up already? Pink starts pinging like a madman. There we go. Yeah, pinging all over the place, trying to cobble something together. There is a constructor here, so we can certainly rebuild. Right now, the energy production is 10, and the metal production is 7. We certainly should probably start up some solar panels, I'm thinking. Marauders are coming out on the map, though. Nicely done. Commander goes down over here on the right-hand side, and the blue force is pushing forward from Orvar, Borvar. Bombers are bold to try and desperately clean up the front lines here. Shuriken being produced in mass here, probably explaining the reason why the Hot Pink Commander Vorpal Defiance hasn't gone into proper T2 production, just trying to keep those Shuriken alive, make sure that there's enough of them to paralyze any forces that might break through, and for what it's worth, doing a decent job of it. Marauders hit the battlefield, and they've got to be pretty surprising here. The blue team don't think has scouted that T3 lab yet, so these first Marauder out on the field are definitely going to be able to do some work if they're microed correctly here. T1, basically they're just going to shrug off those LLTs, not really doing too much to the armor on those bad boys here. Anti-air missile, also going to be nice for exactly the same reason I mentioned earlier. Shutting down a little bit of their anti-air force, definitely going to be nice. There we go. Yeah, this Marauder's making a warpath right here. If we express this with a whole bunch of units, maybe pawns, maybe sprinters, maybe basically anything, push through this path that the Marauder are clearing out right now, and you might have yourself an opportunity to come back into this game, because if not, the red team is not going to be able to hold here. T2 on the right-hand side cleaning things up nicely, but this Marauder is still going strong. Well, I say that as one of them dies, but 2 more are there to take its place. Very Hydra-like in that aspect, I suppose. Trying to shut down all these constructors. They do get the T2 constructor. That really hurts. They're trying to avoid that bull. That's really nicely done. Yeah, get out of the way of that thing. It's basically the only thing here that's actually posing any sort of significant threat to those Marauder, but the Marauder are way quicker than the bull, so they should have no issue splitting up and going in different directions. I think it's probably the best idea. Not going to be the case here, though. Those Marauder just putting the pedal to the metal and running away from those bulls as quick as they can. They're going to find the T1 laboratory here from Chuckles P, who's producing out of it. Wind turbine's not spaced out, so they will chain reactor as soon as the Marauders land a couple of hits. There they go. Up they go in smoke and explosive power. And those Marauder are now well into the backlines here. They're going to start firing away at the constructors back here, which is super annoying. Losing those air constructors. You really need the air constructors to snowball. And yeah, without them snowballing, you're in a whole lot of trouble here. The Marauders just barely don't manage to snipe that fusion reactor over here. One of them getting real low. It does go down. Second Marauder also looking pretty bad here. Trying to find whatever it can and pop it. It's the energy converters at the very least. And it will eventually go down. What a tear those Marauders went in, though, and there's a whole big ball getting ready to push on through right now. User already taken. Love the decided push here, the committed push. Designing a play and then committing to it here. This is nice. We've got a couple of LRPCs firing away into the backline. That's pretty annoying. Very, very annoying to deal with. All the build power is going to be poked away here. Not to mention those LRPCs do hit pretty hard, so if they connect with even a T2 army is going to suffer pretty greatly at the hands of a LRPC shot. Yeah, there goes the energy converters, though. We need a shield up. Weird to need a shield this early in the game. Usually you only build those in sort of the late game scenarios, but if they're firing away at you with LRPCs, then I guess it's probably going to be worth it. How much can these Marauder do? Well, they're headed directly towards almost the sturdiest composition out on the field aside from themselves here. I guess those bulls are out too. Those bulls can be quite powerful. They need to split up, though. The AoE is going to tear them to shreds. Nicely done by the Green Commander. Realizes he doesn't really have the army to fight this. Sort of teetering on the edge here. Trading out these Marauders for this army would be efficient, but I don't know if it's the most damage that you can do. I think this is probably going to end up working out better here, sending the Marauder on whatever open pathway there is. Yeah, those bulls are going to be hard to push through. Expensive at the very least to push through. There they go. Nice surround bonus at the very least. Make sure that those Marauders trade out relatively efficiently against those bulls. Fusion reactor pops, sending the entire ecos into shatter here for the cyan green, or not cyan, the lime green player. T2 constructor goes down. Build power goes down. Now all that is leaking into the backlines here. Dusty, nice D-gun, takes down one of the Marauders, doesn't get the other one. Commander goes down right now. Ionian running away from the fight, fleeing with his commander's life, but losing his entire base for it. Not getting the D-gun. That's going to be a swift little kill right there. Nice punch through with that big group of Marauders. Definitely putting in a whole lot of work right now. Tremendous efficiency coming out from the yellow player. These Marauder hitting like an absolute truck and shutting down basically everything yeah, that the blue team has to offer in the backline. The air player is about to go down here, at least the T1 lab anyways. The T2 lab is still up, the build power popped as well, so production is going to grind to a halt. Marauder still on the right-hand side, also being a menace over here. The blue player about to take a heavy hit. These Marauder are storming through a bunch of T1 solar panels over here. Sephi, almost doesn't get the D again, but just barely manages to in the nick of time right there. The very least sparing the purple commander from an explosive fate. Marauder on the right hand, though, still causing a whole lot of problems. Shepard calls the resign vote. What are we going to do about these Marauder in the backline? Turns out the answer is nothing. All of the production has been moved to the fronts over here. LRPC is trying to fire away, but how effective can they really be? Units greater than static defense? I think so. Hero Marauders right there. Down goes the T2 laboratory as well as some of those metal extractors. This is a beautiful play right here by the yellow. Excuse me, by the yellow commander. Yeah, the red team need only do some more damage, continue trading out here, and they've won. They've won this game handily. Marauder over on this side, destroying whatever it can. Didn't get the T2. That's okay. Still manages to do some damage. Still another one in the backline here as well. Fighting for its life. Oh, pop the build power. Pop the build power. Yeah. Okay. Come on. There we go. There we go. Yes, okay. We take down the build power. It's going to save the Marauder, at least for the time being. Borvar. Ooh, comes in for the D-gun and does get it. Shuts down that Marauder and manages to save himself at the very last second here. Oh, Aphis does come online. Okay, you know what? This is definitely enough eco here to produce a solid amount of units. Jacko Eyes spotted here. Commander goes down. Looks like the blue commander has just checked out of this game at this point. Losing the entire eco here, definitely disheartening. This game isn't over yet. Marauder marching across the map once more. Another huge wave. They're going to find this little T2 production facility here. I think Sumos or Mammoths might have worked out a little bit better against these Marauder, but it's far too late to get those pumped out. Borvar with some killer D-guns, though, manages to take down the rest of those. But already, the damage has basically been done. Energy converters are gone. The build power is gone. There's a nice T2 Sheldon army right now, but is it really going to be able to do enough? Looks like the red player is tapped out of this game for some reason. A bit odd, but it looks like that's all the blue wrote as they indeed decide that the damage is too great to recover from here. I guess those lightning tanks were also going to put in a significant amount of work in the back line. Nicely done right there by the yellow commander. Definitely all eyes on user already taken. Winning the Golden Cow Award, unsurprisingly here, and winning his team an excellent victory today in this match of Beyond All Reason. Sure hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll consider subscribing, liking, commenting, all that good stuff down below, and I will see you in the very next Beyond All Reason video. Peace out, folks.